Dr. William Davis here, author of the Wheat Belly and Undoctored books. More and more people are reporting that they have food intolerances, either intolerances that they become aware of, such as having, let's say, stomach aches when they eat eggs, or that they've been tested for in a variety of different ways. And sometimes these tests show that people are intolerant to 20, 30, 50, 60 different foods. It becomes very difficult to navigate a diet. Or sometimes it's called FODMAPs. People try to avoid the FODMAPs that are sugars and prebiotic fibers that can cause a lot of bloating and gas and diarrhea type symptoms, and they follow a low FODMAP diet. So there's this flood now in modern people of intolerances to food. And you can reduce symptoms by avoiding those foods that cause those symptoms or are identified by some of those testing methods. Problem: no one's addressing the cause. In other words, it's unnatural, right, for humans that are supposed to be living wild, just eating foods they find and kill, to become intolerant to foods that are supposed to be nutritious. So what's the story here? This is when you have multiple food intolerances or any kind of food intolerances, think about small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or we say SIBO, S-I-B-O. What that means is that bacteria should be confined largely to the colon, the large bowel. But in SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, bacteria have ascended up into the ileum, jejunum, duodenum, stomach. So 30 feet essentially of infection with undesirable species. So not only have the organisms ascended, there's also been a change in the composition of the bacterial species. And species like E. coli and Campylobacter tend to dominate. And SIBO may have symptoms like symptoms of fibromyalgia or irritable bowel syndrome or restless leg syndrome or just unexplained diarrhea. But it can often have no symptoms at all. Many people are walking around not knowing they have it. And it can show up as multiple food intolerances as well as skin rashes. So the key here, when you have food intolerances identified, is not just to remove that food. That will get you some symptom relief, but it will not address the underlying cause, the SIBO. The SIBO must be addressed. What happens if you don't address the SIBO? Well, one, you're stuck with those food intolerances and the hassle of trying to navigate diet with it. And uncorrected SIBO over time can lead to inflammatory bowel diseases, colon cancer, diverticular disease, fibromyalgia, other health problems. In other words, if you neglect to identify then manage the SIBO, it can lead you to trouble. Now, if you want more information on SIBO, how to recognize it, the telltale signs, and what you can do about it on your own, you don't even need a doctor most of the time. Follow my blogs, my Wheat Belly blog and Undoctored blog. There are several posts and videos about SIBO. If you want a really deep dive, I have a membership website, the Undoctored Inner Circle, where we go into great detail and showing people how to manage their SIBO on their own. Sadly, most doctors have not kept up with the science because there's no fancy prescription drug for the most part for SIBO outside of an antibiotic. And so there's no sexy sales rep pushing the drugs or procedures for this. But you can do it on your own. We have more and more people managing on their own with magnificent results.